Gordon's Positive University podcast. I'm Daniel Decker, the co-host of Positive U, and this is episode 2 of a podcast doubleheader on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Today's message explains the crypto ecosystem and how it all works together, kind of like Bitcoin for Dummies. Our guest is Steve Ehrlich, the CEO of Voyager Digital, a leading crypto assets broker. Now, after you listen to this message with Steve, be sure to catch the previous episode where our guest shares some brilliant insights on investing and picking future winners. Now, our featured resource today is our upcoming Power of Positive Leadership live training. If you want to become a better leader who creates positive results, navigates change, and makes a greater impact, join us for a live training coming up in person or online. You can get details at popltraining.com. That's popltraining.com. All right, let's jump in and join John and Steve.
Hey, this is John Gordon with Positive U, and today my guest is Steve Ehrlich. Steve, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me, John.
Steve, you are the CEO of Voyager. Can you talk about what Voyager is and what does it do?
Yeah, Voyager is a crypto agency broker where we're connected to 10 plus exchanges around the globe to bring crypto trading to the masses, to allow retail consumers the deepest pool of liquidity, giving the most cryptocurrencies to trade, and at the same time getting to earn interest on about half of those at the same time they're able to trade. So our whole mindset is, turn crypto into something easy for people to digest and able to invest to create wealth for them for the future.
I just started learning about crypto because my son, who's 21 years old, has really gotten into it. He's doing all this research. I mean, I've never seen him work so hard. I wish he worked harder on his studies than he is with crypto. Like, this is his passion. So I'm now learning about it. And I know a lot of people are as well. We don't really know what's going on in the crypto world, but you do. Can you explain to us, what is crypto and what is this whole thing that we're going to be hearing about more and more over time?
Yeah, look, crypto is internet money is the simplest way to say it, but it's a decentralized money that doesn't have policy made by any bank. It's made by the people. So it's decentralized, not within one country, but with across the globe. And there is not one person that determines how much it's worth. It's determined, the value is by all the people that actually hold it. And nobody has a dominant position or more than 50% who can control that. So it's really interesting because it is something that no policy changes make this. And people get to really decide how to use it. And it's quick to move. And that's another thing people should know. It's easy to move the currency across the globe, not just within the US. And we take a very US centric approach to these things, but it is a global currency and really a reserve currency right now.
I just became a Voyager, would you say client or member? I just signed up for the app and I've been using it. I love it. It's really a great app. And you see all these different companies on there that are trading. You see Ethereum, you see Dodge, you see Bitcoin, which I think most people have heard of Bitcoin. You see all these different companies on there, and there's different elements to the companies. There's infrastructure players, there's coins. Can you explain to us, can you give us an overview of the ecosystem of what we're looking at when we looked at the crypto world?
Yeah, there's quite a few different, protocols out there and coins. Bitcoin is the dominant, although it's below a 50% dominance in the entire market these days. The second largest is Ethereum. Ethereum is a smart contract. So think about it as a way for you and I to exchange a title, on a house. You could do it on a smart contract. And I think, Ethereum is becoming very popular now. It also is the protocol that powers a lot of the non-fungible tokens or NFTs in the world. So it's become really popular. Then you have other ones like Polkadot. Polkadot is a little bit different than Ethereum, but very much a smart contract, but cheaper to be able to move because each one of those have fees when you move them across the protocols. Those are three big ones. And there's Algorand is another one that is very much a smart contract protocol. But all these protocols try to do is eliminate the middleman so people can go peer-to-peer rather than have big institutions sit in between, and make it easily accessible and make it so you can see these things on the blockchain and the nodes so they can't be changed. Databases can be changed. Nodes and the information on the blockchain can't be changed. And I think that's a really important aspect for people to understand.
From what I understand, it seems like we are moving from a legacy world, a data world where things are existed on mainframes and big servers to a digital world where they exist on the blockchain. Am I right? So I'm trying to understand this as well. I've been doing research and understanding. It's very confusing. I'm speaking to a lot of people. You and I are speaking to people right now who probably have no idea what we're talking about. But say a real estate contract, you would have to exchange papers. You would have to exchange electronic signatures if you're doing it electronically, and it's moving from database to database on mainframes and servers. With the blockchain, it's happening digitally simultaneously. And the blockchain is like the infrastructure, from what I understand. It's the infrastructure from which things are taking place on that exact sort of technology. Am I right? Or platform?
That's pretty accurate there, and your research is pretty good. So, yeah, and I think about it like this: when you go to buy a house, actually, I'm having this problem. My mother-in-law bought her car from a leasing company, from Nissan Lease, and they're like, "We'll send you the title to the car." Well, and they said it's going to take 3 months. On the blockchain, it could be sent immediately because they know who has it. They could send it to you automatically. You could pick it up, in your wallet, and it's on the blockchain. There's no databases. There's no people that have to get in the middle of it. And I think that's a big difference, is where a lot of the blockchain is going to simplify our lives. It's going to expedite things. It's going to eliminate a lot of the paperwork and a lot of the databases that have to be done behind it, and really effectuate transactions quicker for all of us, because there's no reason a mortgage should take, 60, your financial information you can protect and keep, personal, but at the same time, it could be locked up in the blockchain. And therefore you can actually just share that to the bank and they can see it immediately rather than you photocopying bank statements or sending them links. It's too complicated the way the processes are today. And blockchain will eliminate a lot of that over time.
And the blockchain, from what I understand, is more secure, right? Because it's secure because everyone in the network knows each other, and you have to show proof of work or proof of consensus. Can you explain that? Like, how does it know who is who, and why does that make it more efficient and more secure?
Yeah, there's two different networks. There's the proof of work, which is the Bitcoin network, and proof of stake, which is the Ethereum network. And more tokens are going to the proof of stake, but they're run on nodes around the globe. So every node has the same information. And to verify the information in the proof of work, miners actually verify it through complex math algorithms. And proof of stake, they're on the community who are saying, yes, that is who that is. That's the proof of stake side of it. So it's really, you can't change that information once it's there. And I think that's another piece that's pretty important as we grow, as a country, in the financial world and even non-financial world, using the blockchain.
So it's going to change, the world,
everything,
how we do everything. When you think about contracts and real estate, you think about business transactions, you think about financial institutions, the way things are traded electronically and dealt with. We are seeing a revolution happen before our eyes.
An evolution, not a revolution, an evolution, right? Because we're evolving into something better. And so I've been in the financial services now for 27 years. Old school guy. I remember when the stock exchanges used to call down trades to the floor. Now they're all done electronically, but it used to be, even electronically, it would take 5 days for a trade to clear. Now we're at 2 days, but there's no reason why, through blockchain, the trade should clear immediately. If I'm buying and someone's selling, you have to have the shares. If it's on the blockchain, we should be able to settle that immediately and get access to your funds. The other thing in the financial services world, the banking world, if I move you money and I'm doing Venmo and I'm sending you Venmo, you have it in your Venmo account. But if you want to take it back to your bank, there's usually a fee for expedited, or it takes 2 to 3 days. Now, why is that? It's on the blockchain. I should be able to move that money immediately to you. There should not be 2 or 3 day holdup for any of this stuff anymore. So that's why I call it the evolution. We're just continually evolving into a more efficient financial system, to the point where we'll be able to do everything peer-to-peer without middlemen at all. Because I think that's where we really get the benefit, is when you and I can transact, securities without having a broker in the middle too.
Everyone knows about Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin for a second. People are hearing about it. They don't really understand it. I heard an analogy the other day that it's like digital gold. Michael from MicroStrategy was saying that, see it as something that is tangible, it's investable, and yet at the same time, it's portable and you can take it with you. But he said it's not currency, it's more like property. See it as property where you own something, it's not currency. Can you talk about the difference between currency and property? Because people think of Bitcoin and tokens as currency, but I'm hearing that it's not really currency, it's more property.
Yeah, and I look at it the same way as Michael Saylor there. Is I think it's a very much a store of value today, where people may invest in gold as an anti-inflationary holdings, and they're saying, hey, look, Bitcoin is the equivalent. Bitcoin, they call it Bitcoin gold, but I don't know if it's necessarily equivalent. But it is portable. Where you ever try to go buy a brick of gold, how do you store? You got to have somebody else store it somewhere. You can't get access to it. You just have it on a piece of paper. Bitcoin, you actually can look and you can see it in your wallet. From an aspect of meaning owning it, you could actually take it and hold the pass keys if you want to. Much different and it can be used easier to move. You can't really move a block of gold. So it's much more portable. It is a store of value. There are other currencies like digital dollars right now, a USDC stable coin that you can actually move between people. Because I always ask the question, you said you had a 21-year-old son. I have a 23-year-old son. And I say, when you guys go out, and you go out to the bar and, how many times do you pay cash? And like, nobody pays cash anymore. Everyone uses debit cards, and the millennial generation is all about debit cards. Like, so aren't we into a digital world anyway with money? So there's a digital dollar on crypto called the USDC coin that could move, and I can move you money any time of the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and it gets to you immediately for use. So we're getting there. All those things are coming.
How does that work? Is it tied to the Bitcoin? How does it serve as currency, that digital dollar?
Yeah. So the USDC coin, actually, every dollar that's printed or minted on the blockchain, there's an actual $1.01 that actually gets put in a bank account as the reserve against it. So it takes real dollars out of the system and creates digital dollars. And that's what people use. It's incredible. When I first learned about this, I was like, this is the way everything's going to be. Like, we're going to use this long term rather than use, the banking system and the fake digital dollars that we get out of the traditional banking system, because it takes too long to move money. You ever try to move money on a wire on a weekend? You can't. The wire departments are home for the weekend. You got to come back at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. on Monday to get it done if you're the average Joe. So this is going to change the way we all operate in the future here. And it's starting already.
What a great example. But what about if the government gets involved and says, we don't like this, or the Fed or the powers that be in the money system says, okay, we're concerned because it's going to actually disrupt us and cause us to lose our power, our share. What happens then? What's the prediction going forward?
Look, I think Bitcoin is here to stay as this reserve. I think that we take a very American approach to it. Like, what if the US government says it's no good? Well, there's still, there's 320 people in the US. There's 10 times more than that around the globe that could use Bitcoin. So we take our governments may shut, which isn't going to happen, but around the globe, there's a lot of, countries, Brazil, and other South American, Latin American countries where people don't trust the banking system or the government. And so the cryptocurrencies are there to protect them from really high inflation rates, corruption. And I don't think it's ever going away. I think our government will develop its own digital dollar to compete with the USDC, to have some control in the currency. And it'll sit side by side and working how they work together. But I think we all know digital is the way the world's going. And the smartest thing for the government to do is to develop their own digital dollar and take control of how that gets distributed rather than letting it work in the private sector.
Mm. Will that digital dollar be tied to, say, Bitcoin, where you have this ownership of Bitcoin, a certain value, a certain amount of money, and then you can actually translate that or loan that to digital dollars to be able to then use as your currency and spending? Is that a way to do it possibly?
There's a lot of opportunity, which we're looking at too, is like opportunity to borrow against Bitcoin into digital dollars and use that to go pay. There's an unclear, tax structure related to Bitcoin and so forth. A lot of people say it gets traded or treated like a security for IRS purposes, but it's still a little unclear long term where that's going to be. So people borrow against it and can borrow digital dollars. There's a whole ecosystem that's building on this, and that's what gets me so excited. It's like geez, we were talking before we got on, like maybe we're in the top of the second inning of the adoption and the use of all these cryptocurrencies, and there's so much more to come. It just makes it really exciting for anyone to really spend some time and get to know it and start participating.
Steve, it's like the Wild West. I mean, we're at the beginning, at the forefront of what's going on. It's like in the 1990s of the internet, when it was just getting going, and you're in the beginning and you're seeing the players emerge, but it even feels like this is bigger than that. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I think it's definitely bigger than that. And I love that analogy, because I said to someone at a dinner last night, like, you guys remember like 1992, 93, you did the dial-up to get to the internet. And then, I lived in a small house, and I'm like, all of a sudden you had that noise and you were hoping you didn't wake the baby up or your wife up because, the internet getting on. So, that came a long way, but I still think this is bigger because this is financial, this is money. And in effect, everybody will have it. At some point in time, every person on this globe will be participating in digital currencies or crypto, replacing the traditional systems. There's no doubt about that in my mind. That's when people talk about the total addressable market for businesses in cryptocurrency. It's every person that exists on this earth.
Can you talk about the difference between the infrastructure and the coins? Again, I keep going back to, like, Ethereum is basically like the platform of which things operate, right? And function. But then there's these coins. I still don't really understand it. Can you explain to us the difference between infrastructure? Because as you're looking to invest in companies and people are looking to invest, it's like, do you buy the Cisco of the digital future? Cisco is like the plumbing, right? There's the plumbing that makes things happen. And then there's the coins. What are the coins? Where do they come from? How do they work? And then talk about the infrastructure that supports the entire network.
Yeah, think about, let's take Ethereum, for example. The Ethereum token is unlocking the protocol that allows you to use it. So it's one and the same in the end. It's the protocols, the infrastructures, the tokens on top of that help you utilize that protocol to unlock the use of that entire system. Now, there are projects that sit on top of that, what they call ERC20 tokens, the Voyager token being one of them, that we use the Ethereum protocol to give people a token to get that becomes their rewards. So you use our platform enough, you get more tokens, and there's a value to that. It's like getting airline and hotel miles. But those are on paper in the database. We're doing it on the blockchain. So we've taken a rewards program using the Ethereum protocol and putting a token on top of that. So it's there, it's minted, we know who has it, it's on the blockchain. And so you get value for that. And the more you get, the more rewards you get. We know that, like, you go more airline miles you get, the more free flights you get. So the more, tokens you get with us, the more you get, interest or so forth. But that's the difference between, the protocols itself, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, Algorand. The tokens help you unlock the system. And then there's a lot of, things that get built on top of those protocols as coins on top of those as well. So I'm a big believer in the protocols. Like, you want to own the tokens that represent the protocols, and Bitcoin and Ethereum, Polkadot, Algorand. Like my own token, which is on top of that. I get killed by my own community for saying I don't. Of course, I want that because it's got great rewards. But the protocols otherwise are what you really want to focus on, and that's what I focus mine on, is the protocols behind it.
And then the tokens become valuable, or they become of value by what they're worth. And then those tokens actually start getting traded and invested in as well. Am I right?
Correct. That's exactly right.
Okay. This is helpful. I know it's probably helping a lot of people, because to think about this whole new world, it sounds like a foreign language.
Complicated.
Yeah. It's
complicated.
My son mentioned Polygon today. What does Polygon do?
I have to look that one up. I know it goes under the symbol Matic, I believe. I have a little bit more. I won't say I know every single one. They're coming up every single day. We do our job. I have to learn about it. That's why I get up at 6 a.m. to read more and more and more, because it's changing every day. That's a new one. It's not that new, but I know I have to do a little research myself on that one.
And that brings up a good question. Like, when you were looking to invest in the internet years ago, you had to pick the winners. You could have picked pets.com, and some people made a lot of money and a lot of people didn't, right? if you picked Apple and you picked Google and Amazon, you'd be crushing it right now, right? So it's about how to pick the winners. I'm not asking you for advice on picking that, but how can we think about it? How do we think about who's going to win in the long run? Who do we invest in? How do we come to understand with so many players coming into the market, so much new technology? Like I may say, okay, I want to invest in Ethereum, but am I concerned, or maybe I'm concerned that a new technology is going to come 5 years from now that is going to blow Ethereum away? Is that a valid concern? How do we think about this as we look to invest?
Yeah, that's a definite valid concern. It's kind of funny that you brought up pets.com, because pets.com is the epitome of the internet bubble of 2001 and that time frame. Everybody brings up pets.com because we all know it flew up. They really didn't have a business or a model behind it. It kind of, it had the sock puppet too, because we all remember the sock puppet at the
Yes.
Super Bowl. And so, but that's the same thing here. It's like you have to be, any investment you make, whether it's in cryptocurrency or the stock market, if you're picking individual stocks in the stock market, you want to be, follow those stocks and do your research and honestly look at that each day and see what the competitive landscape is like with that. So the same thing in crypto. I would never tell anyone go blindly invest in anything. And I don't give financial advice myself. Investing, all I ever do is do recurring buys on certain coins, because I don't try to pick times. I just put here's the amount each week into a couple of coins. But I would say when Ethereum's a really good one. It's got a solid protocol. There's others up and coming, as I mentioned, like a Polkadot. Do the research. Just go look at what they're trying to do, but don't try to pick research and try to okay, let me figure out what all 100 or 200 or 500. Go try to look at 10. Start with the top 10 in market cap. Look at those. Do some research. Get comfortable with those, and then expand your knowledge. Because sometimes, like the stock market, it's overwhelming. It's like there's so many. Like, where do I start? Well, start with 10 and do a little research and reading with 10. Get comfortable, understand it, and then maybe that'll take a month. And then the next month, you're going to choose another 5 or 10. That's how I would, and I tell my own kids that, be smart when you're investing and do your research. Don't just follow a leader, and don't just make some, casual investment, because the chances you're going to win or lose, you might as well just go to the casino and put on black or red. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Do your research. It's important to do that.
It sounds like gambling. And for your app and your platform, Voyager, let's talk about that for a second. Like, what makes Voyager unique? What makes it different? We have Blockfolio is something I signed up initially with. Then there was Binance I looked at. I was having trouble with those applications. Someone said, hey, check out Voyager. And, next thing you know, I was using it and it was easy for me and I liked it a lot. But is it the same as these other ones? What makes it different?
Yeah, a couple of things really separate us from the pack. And whoever introduced you, I hope they gave you his referral code. So he got $25 of Bitcoin on that too. Because every time you make a referral, you get some, he gets some. It's kind of, we're giving away money like that.
He said that he should have told me at the time, because he didn't. And he said, oh, I should have gave you my referral code. I would have got some Bitcoin.
No problem. All you have to do is email me what the referral code is. I'll give him credit. So,
okay, great.
But look, I think what really sets us apart, and we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to get people adopted into the ecosystem. We took a very user-friendly approach. We wanted to make sure that when we brought the app to market, it's from my years of experience at E-Trade and my own online broker, Lightspeed Financial, is I always wanted to bring easy to use retail products to market where any consumer can use it without having to figure out how the app works. Like, there's nothing worse when you get you see some app, you get an ad and you see it and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you go download it and you're like, well, how do I use this now? So I wanted to make it really first simple to onboard. It takes you, if you get through the know your customer, you can be done in 3 minutes or less. But then I wanted it to be easy to use and create wealth. And so have a offering of coins, but give people interest, which all sets us apart from the others. But the number one thing I get from people when they download the app, besides the ease to get on it and the ease of use, it's fun. Like, they like to look up things. They like to do their research. They see, the price is flickering. And most people are telling me they're coming back 5 to 10 times a day to check on their portfolio, which is, makes it fun. We just try to make it interesting and fun for people. And I think that sets us apart from everybody else.
Yeah, it is a great app. My son told me to ask you about staking. What is staking?
It's that proof of stake, right? That's becoming very popular. Ethereum's coming, is now launching 2.0. which allows us to stake, which is when we're staking it on the nodes and we're earning rewards for that staking because you're validating the transactions that happen on the blockchain through staking. And those rewards come back to those who are staking. And then we give it back to the customer. That's how we give a lot of the interest back to the consumers. And we do that for them. There's some coins, Polkadot, I think you're earning with us like 8% for staking. So there's a way to create wealth through that. It's less risky than the lending programs that are out there. And we're going more and more to staking because it's a less risky for us and for consumers. So we're excited about that in the long term. But that's all comes back to the Ethereum proof of stake versus the Bitcoin proof of work. The proof of stake is the one earning the rewards are the people holding the tokens, and the proof of work is all the miners that are validating the transactions that happen on the blockchain. Two different styles.
And miners are basically using these supercomputers and algorithms trying to mine Bitcoin or mine these other coins. Can you explain how mining works? Because I have no idea.
At a high level, when a transaction happens, somebody's got to prove out that the work of that transaction. And that's what the miners do with the super high power computers, which every individual can kind of do it and spend some money and get some mining computers. But the higher your capacity power, the better your chance you're going to win that and solve that problem and win the mining reward on that. And so you have companies, there's a whole bunch of them throughout the world. Some are public companies that you can invest in that are creating and winning these rewards every single day. And you win a fraction of a Bitcoin each time, and you get those and you hold it, and eventually the miners will sell them. Their hope is obviously that it goes up. But a year ago when we had the COVID started, there was a time that it cost more to mine for a coin than the coins you're actually getting rewarded with. So now that's kind of changed. But the other thing I would say on mining, I know there's a lot of stuff out there about environmentally, sound and so forth. But I know a bunch of the mining companies, I talk to them all the time. They're all trying to go green. Just like we're trying to go green with everything we do in America, like cars are trying to go green, mining's trying to go, everything's trying to go green. It'll take time, but it's going to happen. But it's the miners are core to the Bitcoin proof of work system.
Elon Musk the other day said that and Tesla was no longer allowing you to buy cars with Bitcoin because he was concerned about the energy usage and being sustainable. That seemed to drive down the price of Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on that? And how should we think about Bitcoin going forward? Should we be concerned?
Would it surprise you if a month from now, Elon Musk had a environmentally solid solution for mining Bitcoin that was green? Wouldn't surprise me. So look, I think he brought up something that started to get talked about a lot. It had a negative impact on Bitcoin right away. But as I mentioned, these mining companies are all spending time and money in trying to become, improve it and become more green in the way they mine. And I think they'll solve it. We're doing that with everything. So I think they will solve that. Internally at Voyager, we believe Bitcoin will be over $100,000 by the end of the year. We have a really sharp chief operating officer who charts all this, and he has well over 100,000 at the end of the year. I think it's a speed bump in the adoption because nothing goes from bottom left to top right. That would be too easy. And so it's a retracement, but there's such belief in crypto and Bitcoin that it will grow again and the price will increase. But I've never seen anything that, it's only 10, 11 years old. To think it's just can go from one directional is just not sound financial thought. So it will get there.
And for people who don't know, Bitcoin, a year or two ago, I mean, we're talking 2,000, 6,000 or 8,000, and now it's over 40,000. And so from what I understand, there's only so much Bitcoin that was created. There's a set amount of Bitcoin that could be mined. And when we're mining, we're actually mining digital. We're actually mining a digital asset that we're looking for as we're mining. And it's when we actually mine and find, as if you find gold, when you find a Bitcoin, you're basically finding a number or an algorithm, right? Is that what you're finding?
That's correct. And really funny story is when we first started Voyager and we did a reverse takeover on the Toronto Stock Exchange, Toronto Venture Exchange. We bought a old mining company, and someone said to me, "You bought a Bitcoin mining company?" And no, it was a traditional mining company, like uranium mining or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, Bitcoin is about mining for technology, not mining for resources. So two different things, and that's again what makes it interesting because we're in a world where everything's digital, everything's starting to become technology. And so this is mining from a completely different mindset.
And you can't hack this system. As we start to think about everything being digital, there might be a concern that you could hack in, but you really can hack into these blockchains, right?
It's hasn't been done. So there's preventive measures. There's the nodes that are running across the globe that are all have the same info. So you're going to have to hack into a lot of nodes to be able to do that. So the system itself is secure. There's how people custody it and store their coins is probably a conversation for a different day. But the nodes itself is a secure distributed ledger technology, or what they call DLT network.
Mm. People should know how we came to talk. I put out on Twitter and said that I want to learn more about Bitcoin and crypto. Who should I have on the podcast? And a lot of people mentioned your name and said you would be a great person to have. I guess they're Voyager fans. And so that's how we connected to be able to do this. I appreciate you doing this and educating us on it, but I wanted people to understand how we came about. You're not a sponsor of this podcast. We just actually, I wanted to learn, and who to learn from, someone who is in the industry and has his company's grasp on everything that's going on. Can you talk about what it's like to be in the middle of everything with Voyager, and also what was it like for you when you first got into this and were like, okay, wow, look at this world?
Oh man. Yeah. And you're right. Like, our Voyager community is so deep. They promoted us for you and I to talk. And, as it turns out, we have a common love for lacrosse and, a bunch of other things. And like I told you, your book, The Energy Bus, is really what got me started into how I am today at Voyager, and how I can grow the business. But when I got into the business, I knew a bit about crypto, but I just threw myself into reading and learning and asking questions, just like you're asking me. I was asking questions to anyone I can get their ear. A good friend of mine happened to be, I ran a hockey program in Connecticut, started one from scratch, and he was one of the ones who helped me build it. And we took a ride to Long Island from Connecticut, and he taught me an hour and a half ride. He was teaching me about crypto. I was asking every dumb question there possibly can be. And I just kept asking. And now we're in the middle of it. We've been able to grow so fast. We have a lot of consumers. And I don't think it ends there. I think I'm still learning. I'm still trying to find out. As I said, you brought up Matic, and I'm like, I got to learn more about that. Like, I got to learn how that could, I think that's part of crypto. It's part of all businesses, is just continuing that open mind to learn, because you never really know what I can learn from a different business that's going to help crypto and help my business. But it's fun being in the middle. I spent some time with the mayor of Miami yesterday, talking crypto. It's given me opportunities to meet people who are interested in it and educate them, but then for me to learn back from them. It's really a lot of learning both ways, which makes it a lot of fun.
You talked about the second inning that we're in right now of a 9-inning game. From a standpoint of percentage, what would you say the percentage is in terms of adoption of crypto and Voyager and understanding this industry right now compared to, say, the stock market, where the stock market is and where crypto is? What's the percentage, would you say, of people who know about it and are invested in it?
Well, I think there's probably 40 to 50% know about crypto, because it's out there every single day now. Do they all know about Voyager yet? No, that's my job. My job now is to get Voyager's name out there, and people see us in some cool spots. But I think the amount of people invested is much smaller than that. It's probably like 12 to 15%, if that much. And I think there's so much, you don't see it a lot of people are invested in the stock market through 401ks and IRAs. We don't see that yet with crypto all that much. So I think there's a huge opportunity there for people for retirement funds, especially the younger generation that, may not touch their retirement funds for 40 years, that's a good time to be invested into crypto because you're not going to use it for see it for 40 years and take it out. So I think it's small on the people that own it. That's why I say second inning is what, if you were through 2 full innings, it'd be 22%. So it's probably about 15%.
Wow. Because me just getting involved myself right now, it's like, I'm just learning, I'm getting educated. Can you imagine when all these people start pouring in to the investment market? I mean, that's going to drive up the demand of all of their, you don't say stock, right? You're going to drive demand up of each company and what they
coins.
do.
Yeah, each coins. Yeah. Look, I think, and you brought it up, Bitcoin has 21 million, slightly over 21 million coins that can ever be minted, and that can't change. So I wasn't a real good student in college. So the little I remember of my macroeconomics of supply demand, the supply is going to be limited, demand's going to go up. It got to be more, the price has got to only go one way. That's about what I remember out of macroeconomics. So to me, I think that's what's, the demand of these coins, especially Bitcoin, is going to continue to increase. The supply is fixed. And so this price should rise.
And that's why your CFO says 100,000. Yeah.
By the end of the year. We think we strongly believe that, if not sooner, even though we had this dip, we think it's going to be, by the end of the year, 100,000 is an extremely reasonable target.
And without the SEC regulating, you can talk about these things, right? Like we couldn't be talking about stocks and things like that from an SEC standpoint, but because this market is unregulated right now, we can actually talk in this way. Am I correct?
Yeah, look, I think we all have price predictions on coins. We have price predictions on stocks, but I think that, it is unregulated from an SEC perspective, but we do have careful regulation when it comes to know your customer and anti-money laundering rules, which is really important. And I think that's something that the government does focus on. They want to know where the coins and who's holding them and so forth. But we do speak to it, and I think everybody's pretty free in crypto to try to give price predictions. We're all bullish. So if I would have said 30,000, I probably shouldn't be in my job. But we're bullish on it. We're deep in it. We see what's going on. We're bullish on crypto.
Are there any companies or any coins that could displace Bitcoin as the top?
I don't see it. I think it's getting closer with Ethereum, having more and more people invest into Ethereum and the use of Ethereum as the smart contracts, but I don't see it. Bitcoin's still the king of the hill.
With Ethereum being around 3,000, between 3 and 4 right now, was it 39? Now it's lower. I know because I invested in Ethereum. Do you see that? Is that going to go up? Is that going to take off as well? Will that go a lot higher?
Someone said to me last night, they thought 50,000 for Ethereum in a year. I think that's outrageous. But I do think I think we could see a 7,000 Ethereum by the end of the year. I think that's, again, extremely reasonable. It's powering all the NFT worlds, which we see NFTs are popping up more and more every single day. It's powering the NFT world. So 7,000 by the end of the year might actually be conservative, but that's where my mind is at, where I see it going.
Love that. Someone was telling me the other day that I could literally take one of my books and then make it an NFT and then give ownership to all these people. And then somehow when the royalties come in, they can actually earn money off of those royalties. I couldn't even get my head around how that would be possible. Is that a whole other world for you as well, the NFT world?
We're looking at it, but I'm in on the energy bus. Trust me, I'm in. You do that, I'm buying. No, we love the NFT world. We're trying to get our hands how we can help consumers navigate that. There's a lot of projects out there. And again, we don't want to just throw NFTs out on a platform and say, hey, go at it. And I've spent some time on some of the other NFT platforms, and I want to make sure there's an equitable market, buyers and sellers on that. And it's not really a one-sided, tons of sellers and no buyers isn't really good. So, and the vice versa isn't either. So, but I do like the NFT world. I think it's just a value, it's starting its evaluation and building. And so, yeah, I think a book with NFT would be pretty cool.
How does, last couple of questions, how does Voyager, make its money? Is it because you're basically connecting all these exchanges, and you bring a place where buyers and sellers come together, and then you get a percentage between the difference of the fees. Is that how it works?
Pretty close. So we give you a price when you go to the app and you hit buy, you buy on the ask, you're guaranteed that price. You're done. That's your price. We will go pair that off in the market in microseconds. This comes back to all my years of E-Trade and at Lightspeed, pairing them off in microseconds. We'll make a spread on that. And if we exceed what we thought we would make on that spread, we'll give you a better price. We'll improve your price. We'll give you price improvement. So that's how we make the lion's share of our money, is on that, because we've built supercomputers and a smart order router that actually connects to the world.
Wow. And then you also provide interest, from what I understand, with staking, where you literally, based on the money you're trading and the money you have in your account, you're now earning interest on that money from the work from what you're doing with the exchange and with Voyager. Am I right?
That is correct. That's a smaller portion, much smaller portion of our revenue is we earn the interest from staking or lending, and we give the lion's share back to the consumers. We take a small little bit on that. But again, we're all about trying to get adoption, get people in the system, create wealth. I tell you a quick story is I had someone send me a Twitter DM 3 months ago, and he said, "Look, I just want to thank you for what you've done. My parents had maybe $50,000 in the bank. They were late 50s, early 60s. I don't remember. They've invested in cryptocurrency. You made it easy for them. They now have enough money to retire. So they sold, their holdings. They have enough money to retire. I'm sitting on the couch. It was like 7 a.m. reading this DM. I read it out loud to my wife, and she just cried. She's like, that means you're doing something right. And you're helping others, which is probably the number one thing we should all do, right? Like, how do you help create stuff for others? And that's just one of about 100 stories I've gotten on DMs. So it makes me come to work and work extra hard. If I can help people that way, I'm so excited to do that.
Yeah, people invest, and they invest smart, and they stay with it. There's going to be a lot of money. There's going to be a fortune to be made in crypto and the infrastructure and everything. And it's why I want to understand it, because I didn't know enough during the internet world, and I was not smart enough, and invested in companies like pets.com. And so I want to be a lot smarter this time around, and want to pass that knowledge on to others. And that's why we're doing this. I'm learning, but sharing with others. And Steve, I appreciate you teaching us and allowing us to learn from you. Everyone, check out Voyager. You just go right on the App Store, and it's right there. It's free. You download it and you put in your information. You do have to have a personal account. You have to have information to share, an email, and ways that they can verify you are who you are. But it is really something that I've been using just recently and love it. And can't believe I had a chance to talk to the CEO of this company, of an app that I love. It's really a great thing.
Oh, it's actually the other way. I can't believe I'm actually talking to someone whose books I've been reading for years that really helped me frame, and I grew from everything I've done, and using your books as a guide to get me to get Voyager where it is today. So thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Last question. What are you excited about as you move forward? And what's one real challenge that you're facing? This is Positive University, where no one's perfect. We all have challenges. Every company has challenges. Talk to us about one challenge you're facing, and also what you're excited about.
I'm excited about crypto, obviously, for the future and scaling our business. And I think the positive is really an important aspect, because we're growing so fast. We make mistakes. We have customer issues. We acknowledge them. We're not we're not the best at customer service, but my team has got a positive mindset, and our goal is to be the best customer service organization by the end of the year, because we understand it's customers' money, and we understand people get frustrated. We've got to be better, and that's our goal. By the end of the year is to be the best customer service in crypto in this country and in this planet. So
I love that goal. And when you're growing like you are, it's hard to scale, because this is a whole new world, and people have just been coming in droves. And so it's something where you have to learn, you have to adapt, you have to grow, and then you do, and then you improve. Apple had a lot of issues early on. A lot of the greatest companies had issues early on as they were growing. But if you have the drive and the humility to say, hey, we know we need to get better, as you did, we're working on it, and then you have a commitment to it, it's going to lead to great growth and great opportunity.
It's a rite of passage for every real great company is to falter somewhere, because you're not going to be perfect. And look, the key is, I tell this to my team all the time. I don't mind people making mistakes, right? That's part of being human. That's part of being who we are. But don't make the same mistake twice and strive to be better. And if you could do that every single day, you're going to have a great company. And admit your failings and move forward and try to be better. That's our goal. I have my service team here with me in New York today, and we're working through a new plan. And it's just what we're about, trying to be better every day.
Love it. Steve Ehrlich, thank you so much. And we appreciate you. Thank you. Voyager.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Positive University podcast. If you found value from it, please share it with a friend. You can post on social and be sure to tag @JohnGordon11. Make sure you also subscribe